Hey, hi, hello, welcome to Snail House follow-up video where we're gonna do the dry hop additions to the fermenter, but they're not dry hops. This is a follow-up from the Golden Stout brew that I did on Sunday. The VOD is on my channel. Most of it is muted because of the copyright music, but it's still fun. Still there, you get it. The Golden Stout is that beer that is going to be pale in color but mimic the flavors of a stout. And the way we're going to do that is by physically adding cocoa and chocolate nibs to the fermenter. We're pretty much done with fermentation. I've got this nifty little device called a tilt hydrometer. So this tilt hydrometer is talking to this tablet and tells me in real time what the gravity and temperature is. The temperature is a little high for what I want, so I did put some ice packs around this little insulated sleeve I have when I got home. But it's active fermentation right now, so it's gonna be what it is as far as temperature goes. So earlier today I combined 3 ounces of cocoa nibs, 2 ounces of coffee beans, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and a healthy little zhuzh of Maker's Mark bourbon into this little Tupperware and let it sit. The bourbon does a couple different things. The first thing it does is help sterilize, sanitize, whatever, the coffee beans and cocoa nibs. It's possible that they were still covered in, tiny bacteria that would make this beer potentially go bad if introduced. So the alcohol kind of helps to sanitize it. The other thing it does is submerging these items into alcohol creates what's called a tincture. And so what the alcohol does is it will absorb essential oils and compounds from these items and help introduce those into the beer if we include the liquid that's going to go in. So I'm going to walk you through how I do that. Cheers. This is the tube I'm going to use. I don't actually remember the volume of this. Hopefully it's more than 5 ounces. I think it's 8 ounces. But I like these. They're stainless steel. They were like $15 on Amazon, maybe $18. I have 2 of them. I've got a spray bottle full of sanitizer. So I'm just going to get sanitizer on all the surfaces of this stainless steel mesh, just to be on the safe side. No such thing as too much sanitation when it comes to home brewing. And that takes a couple of seconds to actually sanitize. I'm trying to think, is there going to be a way for you to watch me pour this in? But I'm going to pour it in over the beer. All right, we got a new camera angle now. So here is the keg that I used to ferment in. Take the lid off. So if the cameraman wouldn't mind, camera person wouldn't mind peeking it a little bit further. There you go. You can see we have active sprouting going on. That's all of the yeast coming up, forming a big mat together during fermentation. The device that tells us that that digital reading is in there, it floats in there, called a tilt hydrometer. Alright, so I'm going to do my best to pour this stuff into our little tube here and not get too much actually in the fermenter. The reason I'm doing it over it is because you can see that liquid pool up. That's that tincture. I want to save that. And if we spill a little, we spill a little. I have a floating dip tube in here, so even if a couple of coffee beans or a couple of cocoa nibs make it to the bottom, they will be stuck to the bottom and not be where the floating dip tube is picking up from the top of the keg when I go to transfer it. I potentially could have just dumped all of this in there knowing it was going to fall to the bottom, but it does make me feel better knowing it's a little bit contained. So now we've got our ingredients. Sorry about the lighting, but we've got our ingredients in the tube. I'm going to put the lid on. And just drop it in. There it goes down to the bottom. I'm going to put this lid back on. It smells pretty strong. Like there's a very strong coffee and chocolate flavor. This is a little piece of foil I have for the CO2 to escape during fermentation. I don't really use an airlock. Now that I'm done adding stuff though, we can close this up for pressure fermentation. So this is our pressure release valve that makes the keg safe to use under pressure. And then this is our spunding valve. Gonna go right on the gas port. It's set to 12 psi, so the moment that the CO2 in here builds up to 12, it'll start to emit the CO2 on this other side to keep it at a constant pressure. And there we go. We added our tincture and our coffee beans and the cocoa nibs into our sanitized stainless steel tube, then dropped it in, closed it up, added the spunding valve. The gravity's at 1022. It'll probably finish around 1015, hopefully a little lower, but 1015 is probably a good guess. So the reason I added it now is so the yeast are still active to the point where they will continue to produce a lot of CO2 that I can capture with this spunding valve. And they'll also eat up any oxygen that was introduced by opening up the fermenter and adding more stuff in. So there we go. There's our first follow-up video from Snail House Brew Session. Let me know if you liked it. Let me know if you have any critiques. I'll work on the lighting and camera transitions better next time. But anyway, cheers.